What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive into our first news. Chandler has made a strong statement about Conor and his fighting future. Chandler admitted that he's at peace if Conor never steps inside the octagon again, but at the same time, he made it clear that he still has the desire to face him, especially at the highly anticipated White House event. For Chandler, this is about both respect and competition. He said that if Conor decides to walk away from the sport for good, he wishes him nothing but the best in retirement. Chandler even added that he would always support Conor outside of the cage if he ever needed anything. But make no mistake, Chandler still wants that fight. He explained that there would be nothing greater than standing across the octagon from Conor, trading shots, and getting the chance to punch him in the face in front of the world. He painted the picture vividly, saying he dreams of beating Conor at the White House card, having his hand raised while draped in the stars and stripes, then immediately turning to kiss his wife, collect his paycheck, and go out to celebrate with America. Chandler's comments show that while he respects Conor's legacy and understands that time might be running out for this matchup, his competitive fire hasn't dimmed one bit. The thought of missing out on this fight doesn't discourage him, but deep down, the opportunity to share the octagon with one of the biggest names in MMA history is still burning inside him. For fans, his words just add more anticipation to the possibility of that clash happening, because even if Chandler says he's at peace, it's clear that nothing would make him happier than finally getting that moment against Conor on the biggest stage imaginable. Before moving to the next news, we have one quick request for you. We are constantly working on improving our content to earn your love and support. That is why we truly appreciate it if you could take just a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on MMA Pulse News. Moving on to another news, Jon Jones has once again stirred the pot, this time mocking Dominick Reyes after his brutal knockout loss against Carlos Ulberg at UFC Perth. Reyes was looking to spark a comeback in the light heavyweight division, but things couldn't have gone worse for him. Ulberg, the rising powerhouse from City Kickboxing, absolutely dismantled Reyes with a devastating knockout that left fans stunned. It was a statement victory that cemented Ulberg as a serious threat at 205 pounds, and possibly just one fight away from a title shot. For Reyes, the night ended in heartbreaking fashion. After once being considered the man who nearly dethroned Jon Jones back in 2020, his decline since then has been brutal. Loss after loss has piled up, and this latest knockout could very well mark the end of his run in the UFC. As if that wasn't enough, Jon Jones decided to twist the knife a little deeper. Tuning into the UFC's live post-fight press conference on Instagram, Jones typed a short but savage comment that read, "Did Dominick win again?" The jab was classic Jones, subtle, sharp, and dripping with irony. Fans instantly reacted, some laughing at the savagery, while others shook their heads at how cold it was. Either way, it reminded everyone of the heated rivalry between Jones and Reyes, and how Reyes has never stopped bringing up that close fight from years ago. The timing of Jones's comment couldn't have been harsher. Just minutes earlier, Reyes had been knocked out in devastating fashion, and while he has not made any official statements about his future, the MMA community is already questioning whether this might be the end of his career. On the other side, Ulberg has never looked better. With this dominant performance, he's not only earned respect, but also positioned himself as a legitimate contender in the light heavyweight division. After the fight, Ulberg spoke with confidence about his future. He made it clear that he's ready to step in as a backup for the upcoming title fight next week. He said he's willing to fly straight to Vegas, keep his weight on point, and be available in case anything happens to the scheduled fighters. According to Ulberg, Hunter Campbell has already confirmed he'll be put on a private jet and flown out there. Ulberg promised he won't let anything slip in terms of his preparation, even saying he wouldn't eat or drink heavily and would stay disciplined to keep his weight low, all in case he gets the call. That kind of readiness has impressed both fans and analysts. Ulberg knows opportunities at the top don't come around often, and after knocking out Reyes in such dominant fashion, he has effectively punched his way into the title conversation. While the division still has the upcoming clash between Jiri Prochazka and Khalil Rountree, both of those men have already had their chance at the belt. Ulberg, as the fresh face in the mix, could easily slide into that next title fight depending on how things play out. The light heavyweight division has been in constant flux, but Ulberg's performance might have just given it a new star. For Jon Jones, his mocking words may have been aimed at an old rival, but the real story of the night is Carlos Ulberg's rise. Moving on to another news, Alex Pereira has just revealed some shocking details about his first fight with Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 313. Pereira admitted that on that night, he was only operating at about 40% of his true potential. He explained that his training camp had been so rough that he was actually surprised he even made it to the octagon. The fight itself was already filled with controversy, and Pereira's latest comments have added another layer to the story. During that matchup, Ankalaev was clearly frustrated and told his corner between rounds that Pereira Pereira felt way too slippery, almost as if he had been greased. While Ankalaev stopped short of making a direct accusation, he made it clear he believed something unusual was going on. Still, when it came down to grappling exchanges, the Dagestani fighter couldn't take Pereira down a single time. In fact, it was Pereira who managed to score what many saw as an unofficial takedown right after the bell at the end of a round. That moment sparked plenty of debate and highlighted how wild the fight really was. Now, Pereira has opened up further, saying that despite dealing with serious issues leading up to that night, he was still proud that he pushed through and competed the way he did. He didn't reveal every detail about what went wrong in his preparation, but he admitted that the conditions were so tough that it felt like a victory in itself just stepping into the cage. Pereira explained that he wasn't happy about the loss, but when he looks back and considers his true potential, he's shocked that he managed to perform at the level he did under such difficult circumstances. In a recent interview, Pereira was asked if he could put a number on how much of himself he was able to bring to that fight. Without hesitation, he admitted that he was at about 40%. Hearing that surprised a lot of people because it's rare for a fighter at this level to openly admit just how compromised they were. He went on to say that even if he shows up at 50% in the rematch, that extra 10% could make a huge difference and completely change the outcome. He promised that this time around, he's coming in much stronger and ready to leave no doubt in anyone's mind. Meanwhile, Ankalaev is entering the rematch with his own motivation. He feels that he has what it takes to prove his superiority over the Brazilian and start a new reign at light heavyweight. Both men have everything to fight for at UFC 320, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Pereira is determined to silence the doubters and reclaim his dominance, while Ankalaev is hungry to seize the moment and cement his place at the top. This rivalry has turned into one of the most heated storylines in the division, and the outcome could reshape the entire landscape of the light heavyweight class. Moving on to another news, Jiri Prochazka is deep in preparation for his upcoming fight at UFC 320 on October 4th, where he is set to face Khalil Rountree. Prochazka, who secured his place in the title picture earlier this year with a big win over Jamahal, isn't just preparing for one opponent. In fact, he recently revealed that he's also getting ready for the possibility of stepping in against Magomed Ankalaev. Ranked number 2 in the light heavyweight division, Prochazka knows the stakes are high, and with Rountree sitting at number 4, their fight already carries major implications. The timing of this card is no coincidence. On the same night, Alex Pereira will run it back with Ankalaev in a highly anticipated rematch. Having both fights scheduled together gives the UFC flexibility. If something happens to either of the headliners, the promotion has backup options already in place. Prochazka acknowledged this in a recent interview, explaining that while his main preparation is for Rountree, he and his team have also factored in the possibility of facing Ankalaev. He made it clear that his training camp is focused on sharpening his tools for both men. When asked if he was preparing for 3 opponents, Prochazka clarified that it's really just 2, Rountree and Ankalaev. He admitted that he doesn't see a realistic scenario where he would end up fighting Pereira on this card, but if Ankalaev were to drop out, then things could shift. Still, Prochazka believes it's unlikely the UFC would move forward with a sudden title fight against Pereira under those circumstances. Instead, the more practical scenario is him being prepared in case Ankalaev isn't able to compete. For Prochazka, this preparation shows his professionalism and determination to stay at the top of the division. Since his return, he's been vocal about wanting to regain the light heavyweight belt and continue building his legacy. Training for 2 completely different styles is no easy task, but Prochazka embraces the challenge. Rountree brings a heavy striking game with knockout power, while Ankalaev is more measured, technical, and dangerous with his grappling control. Being ready for both means Prochazka has to balance explosive striking defense with takedown awareness, making his camp one of the most complex of his career. As UFC 320 gets closer, the pressure and anticipation are building. Prochazka's presence on the card ensures that the light heavyweight division stays as unpredictable as ever, and whether he faces Rountree as scheduled or steps in for Ankalaev, he's making sure he's prepared for anything that comes his way. Moving on to another news, just a week out from the massive UFC 320 card where 2 titles are on the line, the co-main event between Cory Sandhagen and Merab is generating serious buzz. Sandhagen recently dropped a statement on Instagram, boldly warning that this time he's walking away with the belt. On the other side, Merab isn't backing down one bit. In fact, he's been doubling down on the idea that he's ready to stand and trade strikes with Sandhagen. At first, many fans thought Merab was joking or trying to stir the pot because abandoning the relentless wrestling style that made him champion seemed unlikely. But things became even more interesting when his longtime coach, Ray Longo, revealed that Merab has been evolving everywhere, not just with his wrestling, and even hinted that he has developed the kind of knockout power that could shock Sandhagen and finish the fight on the feet. Ray Longo spoke about how impressed he's been with Merab's growth during this camp. He explained that while Sandhagen is a dangerous opponent with a sharp striking arsenal, Merab has been working tirelessly to become more well-rounded. Longo admitted he has always been a fan of Sandhagen, praising his attitude, his skill set, and his ability to make every fight exciting. But when it comes down to the matchup, he stressed that Cory has one clear path to victory, and that's to somehow slow down the freight train that is Merab. According to Longo, this isn't just another fight. This is the biggest challenge of Sandhagen's career, one that will demand everything he has if he hopes to pull it off. Longo made it clear that Sandhagen can't afford to sleep on Merab in any area. The champion has built his name on relentless pace, suffocating pressure, and world-class wrestling. But now he's been adding striking layers to his game that make him even more dangerous. If he decides to put those hands to the test, Sandhagen might find himself facing a version of Merab that nobody has seen before. Fans have already been speculating whether Merab is serious about turning this fight into more of a striking showcase, but Longo assured that either way, the champ is prepared for every possible scenario. Sandhagen, of course, isn't walking into this fight without confidence. He believes this is his time, his chance to finally capture UFC gold. He knows Merab is relentless, but he sees the opportunity to make history. For Longo, the respect is mutual. He called Sandhagen super talented, but reminded everyone that this task is massive. Stopping Merab's pace, power, and endless gas tank is like trying to slow down a runaway train. UFC 320's co-main event is shaping up to be a clash of styles, heart, and willpower, and both men are entering the octagon with something to prove. Moving on to another news, the UFC Perth card has suffered another major blow, and the MMA community is in uproar. Yesterday, the fight between Oban Elliott and Jonathan Maff was already scrapped due to illness, but now an even bigger matchup has been cancelled. The co-main event, which was supposed to feature Justin Tafa against Lewis Sutherland, is officially off. Initially, reports claimed Tafa was dealing with an illness, but the real story quickly came to light. According to Sutherland, Tafa's withdrawal wasn't due to being sick, but because of a massive weight cut that went wrong. Sutherland released a video explaining the situation, saying that his opponent couldn't make the weight on the day of the weigh-ins and ended up being rushed to the hospital. He revealed that Tafa was a few pounds over the heavyweight limit, and the cut completely drained him. In fact, rumors swirled that Tafa had attempted to cut as much as 7 to 8 pounds right before the weigh-in, something nearly unheard of for heavyweights who usually don't have to cut much at all. In his message, Sutherland expressed his disappointment, saying he was ready to put on a show for the fans, that he had prepared like a true professional, and that he felt gutted the fight was off. He told fans directly that sometimes this is just the way the sport works, but it was clear he was frustrated after flying across the world only to have his fight cancelled at the last second. This latest cancellation has only added to the criticism surrounding Justin Tafa. This marks the 6th time he has pulled out of a scheduled UFC fight, and the MMA community has had enough. Fans are now calling for Dana White to release Tafa from the roster altogether. They argue that missing weight at heavyweight is completely unacceptable. Heavyweights rarely, if ever, need to cut drastically, and for Tafa to miss by such a margin has sparked outrage. Many pointed out that this isn't even the first time he has failed to make the heavyweight limit, making him one of the few fighters in UFC history to do so. The backlash doesn't stop there. Between Justin and his brother Junior, the two have been involved in a staggering 12 cancelled bouts since 2022. Fans say the Tafa brothers have become unreliable, wasting time, resources, and opportunities. The sentiment is harsh but direct. People want both brothers gone. Comments across social media exploded, with fans accusing the brothers of treating fighting as optional, waking up and deciding whether they feel like competing instead of approaching it professionally. Some even mocked the situation, suggesting the Tafas should fight each other and both be cut afterward. The weight-cutting attempt by Justin has been heavily criticized as reckless and dangerous. Fans blasted his team for thinking it was a good idea to try to cut such an extreme amount of weight just days before the fight, calling it unprofessional and unsafe. The pressure is now on Dana White as the MMA world continues to demand action. Many believe Tafa has run out of chances, and this latest blunder should finally force the UFC to part ways with him. Moving on to another news, Mateusz Gamrot has spoken out about his upcoming fight with Charles Oliveira, and he made it clear that fans should expect a completely different kind of battle than what was originally scheduled. Gamrot is stepping in to replace Rafael Fiziev at UFC Rio de Janeiro on October 11th, and while Fiziev is known for his flashy, highlight reel striking, Gamrot brings an entirely different skill set to the table. His bread and butter has always been his wrestling and relentless top game, and he's not hiding the fact that he plans to use those tools against Oliveira. The matchup instantly caught the attention of MMA fans worldwide because of what it represents stylistically. Oliveira is one of the most dangerous submission specialists in UFC history, with an arsenal off his back that has ended fights countless times. That made people wonder whether Gamrot would dare to engage with him on the ground, or if he'd look to keep the fight standing. But in a recent interview on the UFC's Unfiltered show with Matt Serra, Gamrot addressed those concerns head-on. He said he's absolutely not afraid of Oliveira's ground game. In fact, he welcomes the challenge and believes that testing himself against the Brazilian's jiu-jitsu is exactly what excites him the most about this fight. Gamrot explained that jiu-jitsu and wrestling are in his blood, and it's something he feels is in his DNA. He believes he can roll with Oliveira on the mat and not just survive but thrive. He stated openly that he plans to take Oliveira down and exchange positions with him on the ground, making it clear he's not coming in to avoid the fight where Oliveira is strongest. Instead, he wants to prove that his grappling is on par with one of the most decorated submission artists in the sport. At the same time, Gamrot isn't only thinking about the ground battle. He emphasized that this fight will be an all-around war, with striking, wrestling, and constant exchanges across every area of MMA. He promised non-stop action, saying he's eager to trade punches, mix in his wrestling, and see how Oliveira responds when faced with his unique pressure. For Gamrot, this isn't about avoiding risks, it's about testing himself against one of the toughest fighters in the division and showing the world that he belongs in the elite conversation at lightweight. With Gamrot stepping in, UFC Rio has taken on a new level of intrigue. The contrast in styles between him and Oliveira makes this matchup one of the most compelling on the card, and Gamrot's confidence only adds more fuel to the anticipation. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for daily MMA news.